I'm just doing really bad with lining up my thoughts here. This is going to take a good second. So I thought I would start off by talking about growing up in North City because I'm from St. Louis. I'm sure every one of your cities has this part of their town where, or this part of their city where it's like the ghetto. I'm sure you probably have more than one ghetto. You've multiple ghettos, I'm sure. But I feel like I sounded really weird when I said that. I often get where are you from? Because everybody seems to think I have an accent, which I mean, I guess everybody has like a sort of an accent. I don't know. I don't really call it the ghetto. I feel like that's kind of derogatory, but it is a form of a ghetto. It's like you live in like a bad neighborhood where the government doesn't take care of you. That's a ghetto, right? It's not the typical way people call things ghetto where it's kind of derogatory where it's like, oh, you're from like the place with all the poor black people, you know what I'm saying? It's not really like that. It's more it's the slums basically. I don't know what you would call it, but I didn't really like when people called it the ghetto. I didn't really like that. I didn't really appreciate that. But also because the particular street that we lived on, which we moved around like a lot, a lot. But the one time we did have like a house where we stayed for I think the majority of the time. I'm gonna lose track of my thoughts really a lot in this, but I'm really gonna try not to disassociate so much that I can't get through the video. Even though we lived in the ghetto, our part of the street was always just like really nice. My dad would make us pick up trash, and he would make us pick all the weeds and everything, which I didn't mind doing. I mean, I liked picking up trash. I liked making the neighborhood look pretty, except only our half of the street was nice because, once you got to the other half of the block, there were trap houses and crack houses and prostitutes and junkies and all kinds of stuff. I remember this one house in particular. Our mom would let us. I want to say she made us. I don't know if she did. I don't want her to feel like I don't know. She's not going to watch this video anyway, so I guess I could just be fully honest. I don't really think I ever wanted to walk to the store, to be honest with you, because I just didn't. I don't remember a lot, but I remember hating walking through those neighborhoods. Let's just put it that way. But I remember this one house. Also, the corner store was not that close. I mean, there was one corner store that was close, but the other corner store was like 6 blocks away. It was pretty far. But I remember walking by this one house that didn't have like doors or windows or anything. It was just like the most derelict, rundown trap house you could possibly think of. Like, I remember we walked by and always see like the little kids outside, like little toddlers in diapers, just like playing in like gross tires and like with glass everywhere and like just like things that if you just saw that now as an adult, you'd be like, you need to call CPS to help these children. I'm laughing about it, but that's just me smiling through the pain. I'm sorry. I don't mean to. It's just my reaction. Like, I can't help it. It's just, yeah. It was pretty tragic, but looking back on it now, it kind of doesn't really, it doesn't really feel like me that much, so I guess that's why I don't feel that sad about it. I don't know. But, I remember we used to catch the bus in these neighborhoods too, though, for school, but that was before they cut out DSEG programs. So DSEG was when they would take the kids from the city schools and take them to the county schools. But whenever they eventually did stop that DSEG program. But we would walk to the school bus with my sister, and I just remember somebody just like disgustingly like hitting on her every time that we walked to the bus stop. Like, guys would just be like, hey, and me and my sister too. And I don't remember how old we were. Maybe somewhere between like 10 and 13 when we lived at that house, walking to the store and shit. But I just remember so many dudes like always hollering and like. I remember this walking whenever we would wait for the bus. these prostitutes would always ask us for money, and I didn't know they were prostitutes at the time. Not that there's anything wrong with being a prostitute or anything like that. I'm sure they were just trying to get by. It's just that when I was a kid, I didn't know. I just remember them always asking us for money, and I'd be like, they'd say, "Oh, my car broke down." Like, "Honey, oh honey, my car broke down. Can you give us like me and my sister just waiting for the bus, little tiny." I'm small now, but like imagine I'm 5'1" and like this big. So back then I was like this little teeny little kid. And she's like, "Honey, my car broke down. Like, can you give us some money? We just need to get to the gas station." Like, okay. What car? Where? Like my little brain, like, oh, that's so sad. Like, what car? There ain't even a car nearby. But anyway. Yeah. Life in North City was weird. My parents really kept like, I don't know, it's weird because my parents like were like clean and like tidy and neat and like, I don't know. It's just I feel like we didn't quite belong in the neighborhood, I guess, and that's a couple of our neighbors didn't either because, like I said, half the street was a trapped street, and the other half was old folks and us. So, I lost track of what I was gonna say. Sorry. So we used to always walk to camp, which was like also a couple blocks away, probably like around 6 to 7 blocks away. It may have been the furthest that we usually had to walk. But I don't remember going to this camp, but like maybe one time. But I know we went like every summer, probably for years. But I really only remember going like once, and I remember going into like the pool. Me and my sister were always playing the pool. I don't remember much else about that, which is kind of sad because we've been there for so many years that I just, it's like I only went one time. It's like it wasn't even me. What else? None of my friends would come to my house from elementary school. Or was it elementary school? It would have been middle school probably. I think I lived in the house from somewhere around 11 or something, so it was probably middle school. I did middle school. But nobody would ever come to our house because we lived in the ghetto. I remember Ashley's mom was she's my best friend since kindergarten. I don't remember us becoming best friends, but she does. But her grandma would let her come over to our house, but she only did like maybe 2 times, I think. And I remember her actually walking to the store with us one time. It just looks so out of place because, there's just all black folks, and you're in like the hood. Like every building was an abandoned building, and you just see me, this like teeny little person, and then you see Ashley, who's quite tall and quite white, and blonde. So I don't know. We just looked so weird walking to the store together. Probably, I remember walking to the store with her that one time, and I think that was one of the only times she came to my house. Oh my God, I don't even remember that time. That's so crazy. Thinking about it now, I get like little kind of flashes of memories. They're like very small, and I don't really feel like they're mine, but I get them. And I just got one, and it was Ashley like at my house that time. Wow, only one time I remember. Yeah, she walked to the store with us. It was just an awkward looking sight, I'm sure, to see in the hood at that time. Let's see. My sister would always play in the back alley. We would just like go messing with shit back there. Like, I don't ever remember what was back there, but I got an image of like a picture of the alley back there, and there was a lot of junk back there. Like a lot of like dangerous shit, like broken TVs and just like, I don't know, if you're not from the hood, I feel like you can't really picture what an alley like that looks like. But imagine like somebody having like a yard sale, but like everybody on the street's having a yard sale, but it's like in the alley, if that kind of makes sense. I really don't know how to explain that, but it's basically just kind of a mess. It looks like kind of like a hoarding mess, It's just like a bunch of shit, and it's all broken, and it's all dangerous and deadly. Oh, I remember a lot of stray dogs. I'm like to this day afraid of dogs. I love dogs too because they're my favorite. Like, Dogs are my favorite animals, and I'm really afraid of dogs because I don't know. There's just so many like stray dogs that I remember just being scary and like always like growling at us and stuff. Like a lot of like pit bulls and stuff too, like big scary dogs. Um, this is kind of hard to get through. Which is like I'm like started trying to remember things that make give me anxiety, but North City was a strange, strange place. I remember in living in that part of North City, we'd always get like drive-bys and people breaking in our freaking house, which I'm certain to this day is the reason why I can't sleep. I'm just afraid somebody's gonna break in and murder us. But drive-bys were probably the scariest. So I every time I hear like, oh my god, don't get me started. Like Fourth of July is just one of those things that I wish didn't exist because like the whole Fourth of July, I mean, I was on the floor, just like cowering in fear every time I heard the fucking loud bangs. And I don't really think that people get enough. I don't think that we really understand the like the repercussions of growing up in this type of area because I used to have nightmares about getting shot in the head, and they were so realistic. Like I could feel like the pressure in my head from the nightmare of getting shot in the head because I could hear the gunshots were so close. I remember living in one house. It wasn't in North City. It was when we moved to South City, but I don't remember this super well. It's like kind of a one of those memories that's barely there, but somebody got shot in the next door in the house next door to us, and they got murdered. I don't. Some of my memories I can't tell sometimes if they're like real or not. So just forgive me if I look at it like I'm like questioning it, but for the most part, I am questioning it because I really don't. The memory gaps are pretty insane and intense, so I don't remember a whole lot of things. But those are just small things that I do remember, especially landscapes. I always remember. Like I can remember being places, but not more than the one time. So like I'll have memories of things, but I only have the one memory. So like I've lived in lots of houses, but I'll probably only have one memory of that house ever. You know what I mean? Or like my best friend since kindergarten, I think I have like a total of 5 memories of her since kindergarten. Like that's insane. I spent every day at her house, which I guess was a good thing. My parents maybe tried to get us out of being in North cities. My friend lived in the county by my school. Just funny because now that I think about it, whenever we would go to her house, I remember us wanting to go to the playground, which was the elementary school across from her house in the county. So she lived literally across the street from the elementary school we went to, and they had a playground. The playground we loved, and I remember Ashley saying we met on that playground. I don't remember that, but she does. But I do remember one time. But I know she asked her sister all the time. She would ask if her sister would take us across the street to the playground, and Dagger would never take us. She took us a couple times, I think, but nobody ever wanted to take us to the playground across the street. And I just thought that was funny to note because my parents would let us walk like literally so far in the fucking worst area ever. Which I mean, granted, every area has its issues. I'm not even trying to act as if this is the end all be all bad places. I'm not saying that. It's just different. You know what I mean? You go to the county, you get a different set of dangers. You know what I mean? You go to the city, you get other types of dangers. There's different kinds. I don't know where I was going with that, but it's just funny that they wouldn't let us go across the street by ourselves to a playground, but mommy and my sister were used to walking freaking everywhere in the dangerous parts. We didn't care. We just did it. But our grandma was like, no, you can't go across the street. It's dangerous. I thought that was funny. The rats in North City, I'm not trying to front my parents out or anything like that because our house was clean. It's just that when you live in that part of the city, you get infestations. And the rats were like this big. And I'd just go downstairs and there'd be a big ass rat just like sitting on the floor, chilling, dead as fuck. Obviously. Because we poisoned the shit out of them, which is so horrible. And I would never do that now. But obviously, I was a child knowing no better. And also being completely infested with something and we couldn't get rid of them. And it was gross. It was just a horrible time. And even killing them was like horrifying. Like when I'd see them dead, I think I was just like so like, I think I made my sister always pick them up. I don't remember. I remember picking one up by the tail a couple. Oh, sorry. Oh God, sorry. Oh, that's so gross. Oh God, so gross. It's really gross. I'm now remembering other gross things, and I really don't want to even talk about them now because it's kind of gross and it's grossing me out. Yeah, but needless to say, North City is pretty nasty. Whenever we go to the bank, I remember my mom would be like, watch out behind us and make sure nobody tries to rob us. I guess I get my paranoia from her. That makes sense. This is like we're as little kids, like looking out the back window, making sure nobody's walking up to us trying to steal our shit, because it's just the part of town that we live in, you know? I think there's something to be said about growing up having to see so many depressed, homeless, sad, hopeless, junkie, down on life people everywhere. Because these are probably mostly good people that ended up here because of an unjust system. And it's not fair. And even though I was the product of all this crap in this horrible community and nobody cared about each other and everybody shit on each other and everybody stole each other's shit, killed each other and shot each other and fucked each other over. That they're just doing what they have to do to live and survive and deal with their own shitty experiences. So I would not like for people to think that it's already bad enough that going to a county school, everybody was always talking crap about, well, like the area that I lived in. So people would be like, oh, we're not going to the city, like if we want to get fucking like, you know, robbed by fucking this and this. People just weren't very understanding, especially not from the county. But I just don't want people to think that because I'm telling this story, I'm like saying the hood's like a horrible place and this and that. It is, but it's not the people in its fault, honestly. I mean, yeah, they, you know, I'm sure they could take some personal accountability for some of the things that they have done. But most of us are just a product of the environment. And if you're lucky enough to not have to be a product of your environment, then don't say anything like, well, you can overcome your environment, or, well, you know, you can work harder and try this and try this. Because, yeah, I mean, I agree with that statement, but that's such like a narrow-minded way to see it. Because honestly, if you've never been in this situation, you wouldn't understand the mental hell it is to get out of it. It's like a pit of despair. That's what I think the ghettos are like. It's like people aren't bad or mean. They're fucking scared and depressed. Think about a whole system, our whole earth, basically, that just fucking hates you and just is like, just put them over there. Like, we don't want to deal with them. And then they just like put us over there. And then, yeah, some of you can be like, well, you could have like gone somewhere else or done something or done something. Well, imagine them only letting you buy a house in the ghetto. I mean, imagine you trying to buy a house in Creve Coeur and then being like, these families don't want black people to live here, especially ones that look like you or talk like you. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. I think that North City could be. I've always thought that as long as communities came together, then they would be okay. It's just about educating people into realizing that life has screwed them and that they just have to try to fix it. I don't know. I don't know how else to say it. I haven't seen that many people on YouTube that talk about being from the hood. I would actually love to hear anybody else's view on where they grew up. If it wasn't one of the ghettos in your city, whatever city you were from. Every city has a ghetto, right? Probably a lot of them. I'm interested in anybody else's experiences growing up in the hood. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to answer them. I honestly just wanted this video to help somebody because I personally, until I talked to one of my friends, never really realized the damage that growing up in the hood had been doing to me, honestly. And it was just something that, I don't know, something that they said, but it just sparked like this whole like memory recall of like some tragic, I don't know, it just made me think of like all the possible outcomes for things that happened to you when you live in the hood, like the possible things that could affect you or the possible ways it could affect you. Anywho, thank you for coming, and I hope that you made it out of the hood unscathed, honestly. And if you are still in the hood, maybe you can fix it. Right? I don't know. Just my thoughts. Make sure you guys follow my channel and subscribe. And let me know what you have to say. Please. Okay. Thank you.